All right, Gen X women solopreneurs, I need you to listen carefully. I'm speaking from personal experience. It's time to put a cyber wall around your business. I'm Kandas Rodarte. This is Gratitude Geek, and today we are talking with Rob Broadhead about digital defense. Welcome, Rob.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
You are a friend of the show. You were here for episodes 149 and 150. 149, we talked about learn contentment. And 150, we discussed the book that you wrote about your late wife, Cancer versus Hockey Mom. And that was about 3 years ago. Share with us what has happened in the last 3 years. What would you like the audience to know about you and the last 3 years of your life?
Well, this has been, last 3 years has been quite the whirlwind. Obviously, lots of things have gone on in the business world and things like that, which is some of the things we'll talk about later. But along the way, I became since going from the family point of view, became an empty nester, and now I'm in a digital nomad existence for a period of my life because we have no grandkids, and our parents are fine where they're at. We don't have to worry about it. So we were having to take care of younger than us or older than us, or that we want to take care of. The grandkids. And so we said, we've got this little bit of time, probably like a 3 to 5 year window. And so we went to zero base. We got rid of all of our stuff, simplified, and said, we're going to go be nomads for a little bit. So we're hanging around Europe and enjoying like constant traveling, but still can work. So, making the most out of the ability to be a remote worker.
Does that mean you remarried?
Yes, I did.
You got married in the last 3 years? So
yes, I did.
Yep. Congratulations.
Well,
I think that's a success story. It's a success.
I 100% agree. Mm-hmm.
So, but that's a conversation for a different podcast. Today we are talking about digital defense. So a couple of years ago, I discovered that my website, my blog that I had since I think I had launched this blog around 2012, but the website was originally launched in 2001. Okay. So this is about 2 or 3 years ago that this happened. That website got hacked and I lost everything. I lost over 20 years worth of content. Everything was gone. All right. And I am supposed to be the expert. I should have known better. And so if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your expertise in this area of digital defense? Why should we listen to you?
Digital defense in general and protecting yourself is actually, it is frustratingly common sense. A lot of it is because and I think a lot of it it's really interesting because from a female point of view is it's like, as a woman, there are certain places in ways you're going to travel that like guys just do stuff. Women are smart about it. They do things like they don't walk into dark alleys. They, will protect their purse. They will, things like that are very common sense that are like, well, this is accepting the fact that there are bad actors in the world. And I'm not going to put myself in a situation where the bad actors can take care of me or, take advantage of me. And that's sort of what exists in the digital defense world, and which I think a lot of us thought, okay, we're too small, nobody cares, nobody's going to hack us, nobody's going to chase me down, especially if I've got like a little family website and I've just got some pictures of my family or things like that, or recipes or something that's just like a very personal to me. And that's sort of the problem is it's like it's personal to you, so it's very valuable to you. Whoever's doing it may or may not even care. I've definitely seen all kinds of stuff where sites have been hacked and they're just using it to jump into using it as like a waypoint to do something else. It's not always, you don't always lose everything, but you have a resource essentially that's out there, and then there's people that can use it for other reasons, or they just want it. They're just bored or whatever it is, and they just want to mess with you. Or there is, of course, the ones where they're going to, lock your stuff down and charge you money if they don't, say, hey, we'll give you give it back to you, but only if you pay a ransom. And there's literally industries built on this there are people that go to a 9-to-5 job that their job is to go find people and find a way to, essentially swindle something out of them. And the schemes range from very small stuff to very large stuff. And so it really is, it's an awareness. I think security awareness is probably your best value defense against all of these attacks. And then from there, then it is just making sure that as part of that awareness that you are purchasing, or I guess it's almost like purchasing insurance. Is you're dealing with professional vendors, and that they've been vetted. You're not dealing, that you're um, doing your due diligence for whatever the tools are that you use. Or if especially if you're a solopreneur, sometimes we have a tendency, and I think even more so now with AI, to just build our own. And it's making sure that when you're doing that, that you're doing so with that, that white hat, black hat security mindset a little bit as well, to say, okay, well, you know, what happens if somebody gets this password? What happens if somebody gets into this? And so it's, how do I handle that? But then also, how do I try to stop them from doing it? So, it's the old stuff, like, don't have a password that's password 123 and stuff like that.
So you mentioned AI, so I'm going to make an admission. I vibe coded a web page, and then I took a look at the code, and I discovered that it had some empty links. So it had links that they were closed. No, they weren't open links. They were closed links. So it had
Mhm.
the href and then the close A, but nothing in between there. And there
Yeah.
were like 15 of these in this page. And I just went through and systematically deleted each of them. But I'm like, okay, I'm not vibe coding anymore because because I don't know it well enough to understand how to do it right.
Mhm.
And I don't know if I don't want to break my website. So talk about that. Talk about vibe coding and the day. What? Okay, first of all, for the listener, just define what vibe coding is, and then riff on it.
So, vibe coding is something it is not just I guess it is AI, but it's not just the modern AI tools like ChatGPT and stuff like that. There are sites out there like N8N and Softer, and just the list goes on, that are sites that are tools that allow you to essentially type or talk through generating an application. So you can do it with AI if you use, like Claude is a very big thing right now in that sense. But there are other ones where you can sit down with your favorite chatbot, and you can say, sort of like you did, you could sit down to, open up ChatGPT and say, I want a web page that, you know, has a picture of this on it and has this kind of content. It has this look and feel, and as you start talking through that stuff, you're giving it enough information that it's like having your own little junior developer. I don't want to sizes and, whatever the AI is. It could be a big developer, whatever it is. It's a junior developer. You're basically saying, here's my list of tasks, go do it. And you can do this up to entire applications. So you can have them build, you could say, like, hey, I want a mobile application to keep track of my grocery list. I want something that's built so I can put it on my iPhone and I can take it with me, and then I can, fill out my list. You can, and that's what vibe coding is it is where you're talking with, that you have this vibe going with the AI tool or the smart tool, the no code tool. And in doing so, you're now generating an application, whether it's web, whether it's mobile, whatever it happens to be. That is I guess, vibe coding in a nutshell.
So what are the benefits and the cautionary tales?
The cautionary tales, and actually both of them are endless. I spend a lot of time having these conversations with solopreneurs and even, larger businesses up to very large businesses. It is what it always has been, actually, is that vibe coding will allow you to build something that is a demo very quickly. It's just like if you had a team of software developers and they were really, really good and they could just crank out code, if they could, and they were infinitely fast, essentially, we'll say, so that you said, you know what, I'd really like for you to build this. And then a day later, they have built that for you. Well, the good and the bad news is, like, okay, so you've gotten there. But when you said what this is, what I want you to build, were you thorough enough to actually build something that is going to work when you actually start? Is it just a quick demo, or is it something that's actually going to work when you put it into the real world? From a security point of view, this is incredibly important, because this is where you may have it, you could have it connect to your bank account or your CRM or things like that. And it can do, I mean, you can vibe code your stuff your way into that. I've got a system that is, my back office system. We call it Chip. I've even got, like, I had Chip generate a picture of itself and everything. And it connects to various systems. And it's like all of that, though, is very much was very meticulous and thought out as we went through it, because I wanted to make sure that it wasn't exposing something that it shouldn't, or I wasn't creating some sort of a back door or something like that, that now, anybody that gets a hold of it now would have the passwords or the authentication method. So it can
And
allow
that's
you
the
to.
thing. You are the expert here. So you know how to do that.
Mhm.
I don't. So I shouldn't be doing that. I should not be creating those applications,
No, I
in
think
my
it's
opinion.
I agree, but I think there is a level of, you can do some of that, but you have to keep it. You want to keep it very small and very what we call put guardrails around on that. So, like thinking about digital security, think about you having a fenced-in yard and keep it a very small yard and something very simple. So, the stuff that is to dip a toe in are the things that I think everybody's doing. So it's things like, I want to just like tell it to maybe create a better interface for you to be able to um, update, generate content for emails or something like that. You don't want to start with it actually going out and getting your email and doing things like that, but you could eventually do so. And especially depending on how technical you are as a solopreneur, it can help you do those things, and it can help you actually build systems that are going to allow your business to grow and scale better than if you do them yourself. The benefit of that, particularly from a solopreneur point of view, is it's going to get you, even if you don't build applications, if you just use conversations with AI and say, what would it look like if I built this? It's going to help you get stuff out of your head that normally as a solopreneur, you're keeping it, you're doing it, and it never scales, because you end up just working yourself, sadly, it sounds like, into an early grave or something like that, because you are the limiting factor, is that you're doing all the work, but you can't hire somebody else to do it because you haven't gotten it out of your head. So I think there's a lot of benefit in, we'll call it playing around with AI, or at least getting used to and exercising the idea of working with AI, and even vibe coding to some extent, because it helps you realize what is in your head and what would it be like if I hired a virtual assistant or something like that. What would that look like? How would that communication go? What would I have to give them to be successful? And honestly, AI can replace, the traditional things that a VA would give you. AI can help you replace that at a very low cost, depending on how good you are at uh, delegating essentially some of your tasks.
And understanding how the system works.
Mhm.
So I have two things I want to say, and you can choose whichever way you want to go with this. The first is, this morning I actually read this quote, and it was, I will give it attribution in the show notes, y'all. Right now I cannot remember who said it. But the quote is that AI is data-based, so it can only look backwards. Only humans can go forward. Humans are the creators. AI is just the data gatherers. So AI looks backwards, humans look forward. So we can work together in tandem. I mean, I use AI for data management. I mean,
Mhm.
I have a system in place where I can extract information from my podcast episodes and repurpose it into other things. And I'll ask it to look for 10 episodes about this topic. And there's so many things that I can do with AI that I would not have been able to do on my own. But again, I'm asking for what I want. It's not telling me what to do.
Mhm.
I'm creating with its help. So that's that quote. And then my other quote was that we as solopreneurs are our own lead magnet. And if we sound like AI, we're not a good lead magnet. So we
Mhm.
have to do our own creation. Okay. Riff on whatever you want there.
Wow, both of those are so awesome. So I'll go with the first one first for a little bit. 100%. That is, um, use it for data, and that I did the exact same thing. We were sitting at over 900 episodes on our podcast, and I had for years said I really need to get like a good way to like search through everything. And I wanted to do it for the listeners and the audience and stuff like that, to just be, because I was like, gosh, we've covered so many topics, and you know how this is. You've got so much stuff. And I ended up doing the same thing. So I had it go in and found all of them, pulled them all down, and it summarized them and did all this stuff. And we built a nice searchable thing. And now we use it on a regular basis. And then my co-host actually has something very similar where he takes everything that we do, that we go in, we take the entire transcript, and then we can use that, and then he can use it to build out LinkedIn posts and Facebook posts and all that kind of stuff. So it's great with data, sorting through it and finding it.
Go ahead and drop the name of your podcast.
Developreneur, also known as Building Better Developers, is our podcast. Because Developreneur, Siri and all those people can't say it right. They don't understand it right. So we had to rename it to Building Better Developers enough that you could get it.
Building Better Developers is better for SEO too.
It probably is. It's like, I don't know that it's like, we're not like dominating the world with it. So I don't know if it made enough of a difference, but it definitely is helpful.
When I added Business Education for Gen X Women Solopreneurs to the title of my show, my SEO just exploded. I am now in all these lists. I mean, I spent, this show is 12 years old. I spent the first 11 years in obscurity. And now all sorts of people know who I am. So
awesome. Sometimes it is. It's like just that one word or that 6 words.
It's SEO, man. And the thing is, with search engine optimization, I knew how to do it from 1999 when I built my first website. The reason why my husband and I did so well with our business is because I SEO'd the heck out of our website. I don't know why I didn't think about it for my podcast. Mm-hmm. It took somebody saying, "Hey, have you tried SEO?" to go, I can SEO my podcast? What? Say it again. So I can hear in the back of the room. So yeah, no, it makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference. So yeah, adding that is probably good for your show too. Anyway, that was a total tangent, but relevant.
Okay. Yes. Interesting thing about we are our best lead magnet as a solopreneur in particular. I am currently in a phase of like, I've changed stuff around business-wise and stuff like that. And so now I'm very much focused on, I've changed my focus, niche down essentially, because it's like, because when you can do IT, then okay, you and everybody else in the world, it feels like. So we had to, we've niched down, really worked on, messaging and focus and all that kind of stuff. And so now but I'm using AI to regularly go like hunt down people that are having the same conversations and to reach out to them. And I use it often to craft all of my responses and posts and things like that, because I'm also and of course AI is training me this, LinkedIn's training me on this and things like that, that there's certain formats and certain styles that it reads better, it scales better. It's the latest of SEO. It's just the AI tools making sure that they will pick you up. And I literally had a conversation the other day with somebody, and now I'm talking to senior business leaders and IT leaders and stuff like that. And the guy I was talking to is somebody that his business is, he essentially vibe codes. He sits there and he's got like 5 or 6 AI systems running at a time, and he's just building software for his customers. And he ended up, we had an exchange on LinkedIn, and at one point he's like, "Oh, I just realized I'm talking to Claude," and he blocked me because it was too AI. And I managed to come back around and say, "Hey, that's pretty funny," and was able to work my way back and actually talk to him. And we had a great conversation about it, because that is a great statement for what we're dealing with right now. Is if you're an entrepreneur, if you're trying to figure out how to be heard through the noise, there's some level that you have to play that game, because that's what the tools are that are searching for, that are going to rank you and things like that. And so I think that makes it, in some ways, it's the easiest times it's ever been, because you can generate content all day long. You can there's all these things you can do. You can repurpose it and all that, but so can everybody else. And there's so many people that are doing it, and there's so much noise almost in any line of business, that it really does come down to, I think it's an extra level of challenges that you have to figure out, even with using AI or all those tools to, properly format your message, is to make sure that you still live in that message, that you can still get to what is your specific value proposition. What is your personality? What is it that is the reason why people are going to do, work with you? And some of it does come down to building those relationships, and you're just going to have to keep doing it. And you have to, sometimes you throw a lot of noise out there, but then you find a few people you connect to, and then you rebuild, and you build on that. You build a relationship, so it gets to the point that now it is real and genuine, and not just the, I'll call it the marketing speak or whatever that AI and the tools you're using are probably going to push you to.
And that does have a lot to do with digital defense, because when you are relying so much on AI that other people can tell that you're using it, you are opening up yourself to a lot of different things. I mean, uh, so, okay, let's talk about what happens, because let's work backwards. Let's work backwards, because this happened to me. What do you do when you discover that you've been hacked in some way? I know I have horror stories. I have a friend who lost $5,000 from a hacker. So they're vicious.
There are, I know, I have so many stories of stuff that's gone bad. So if you've been hacked, it really depends on how, why, and what the communication is. If you go to your site and your site has just disappeared, or you don't have access to it, or it's like they got hacked and suddenly their website, if you went to their domain, it went to something completely different. It was like wasn't even them. So if you can shut stuff to, like, it's one of those, it's probably not necessarily exactly it, but pretty much unplug what you can, whatever you can, pull it back, reset it, shut it down, turn it off. If you had a system compromise, it's not worth it to try to like fix it then as sort of the horses out of the barn. You can, but it is too likely that you're going to miss a backdoor, and so it's just going to be hacked again. So at that point, it really is sort of like, if it's like your web server or something like that, and it's a GoDaddy server or Amazon or whoever, go ahead and just shut it down, and then start it. Spin up a new one, and then start figuring out assess what the damage is. Hopefully, you've got a backup. And that's usually where it's like, when was the last backup? How much data was lost? And then figuring out, who do we contact? If you've got a hosted platform, definitely contact your host. If it's like a Bluehost or something like that, say, hey, we got hacked. This is what's going on. A lot of times they will help you. They will have some level of security and things like that they can use to lock that down. Even if you're using, I just lost the name, like, Cloudflare or some of those kinds of places, they've got, there's things there, depending on what your tools are that you've got, that will allow you to, essentially, click a button and say, hey, I've been hacked, and it will start shutting stuff down. It will block things out. They can go find stuff and put firewalls up. There's a lot of repair type things they can do. So the goal there is really, it's almost triage. It's just like, let's try to make sure we minimize the damage now that you've been hacked. And then it becomes figuring out the extent of it. So is it, what did they get a hold of? What kind of information do they have? Is it, do you need to go in and change passwords to everything? Do you need to change account numbers to things? It can be a real pain, but that's sort of the starting point.
Let's talk about Cloudflare. So there's a free version of there's a free level of Cloudflare, and I have 2 of my domains set up on it, and it solved a problem that I had. I can't remember what the problem was, but it solved the problem. So, a lot of websites are using it, and sometimes you see an error message like a Cloudflare error message. So explain what Cloudflare is.
From a non-technical point of view, it's sort of like, it holds on to your website. It gives you it's sort of like, think of it as copying your website, and then people are going to that copy instead of your website. So then as your website gets updated, you can update it up to there, and it gets more complicated. It's just not like exactly a copy, because they can still get to yours. You can save data, you can do stuff. But the easiest way to think of it is that they are essentially making a copy of your website, and that's what people are going to, and that allows more traffic, because it's not going to do necessarily the same level of traffic that your server would necessarily get hit. It's also going to store information. So, like, for example, instead of somebody getting an image every time they come to your site, they're going to be able to get it from there. So it's a little bit faster. It's a little less traffic back and forth. And then also it acts as a firewall of sorts. So if somebody tries to get to your site, they're going through Cloudflare, and so they can essentially shut the gate and say, okay, well, you can't get there anymore. And when you see the warnings, sometimes it is, what can happen is, if your site goes down, Cloudflare sometimes can hold on to, people can still interact with your site theoretically, because they're working with the copy. So especially if they're just reading information off your site and stuff like that, they've got whatever the last copy of it it doesn't matter that your site's down. So there's a
So
couple of
it
things that
really,
it'll offer.
it's
Yeah.
more, it's more than I thought it was then. Like every one of my domains needs to be on Cloudflare.
It really doesn't. I have not found too many reasons not to do it. I found it's very useful, and even the free level, it makes sense to do it. There are some things that you may, depending on, like if you're like if you're an e-commerce site or something like that, you may want to adjust it because you really need them getting directly to your site more often than not. But particularly if you're a content-based site or if you have a large portion of content, like a blog or podcast site or something like that, I can't find too many reasons not to do it. It seems like it's just a great way to do it. It gives you an extra level of scalability to your site without, especially on the freelance side, without spending any money on it. So I found it's very worthwhile.
Do you have a resource for the listener on how to learn more about it? Is there something that you've done on Developreneur?
I'm sure we have out of almost 1,000 episodes. I'm pretty sure we've talked about it a couple of times. I think if you go to developreneur.com and you search for Cloudflare, we have got stuff and it may be dated. I think I did like a deep dive that's probably 4 or 5 years ago, but I'm assuming we'll have links or talk later. You can shoot me an email if you have questions and I can at least direct you some more current information, and could probably, with the help of AI, I'm sure I could spin up something really quick to have a nice little one pager or something based on our experience. And
I'm challenging you to have that ready for when this episode goes live. You got about 4 weeks.
That's no problem. No problem.
There will be a link to Rob's new guide to Cloudflare in the show notes.
That's right. Just like remind me of that. Just shoot me an email with that, and I will send it back to you, and it will be there. Trust me. It's like that's like some of the things. Once you get going, I can generate a lot of really cool little flyers.
I think since it's my idea, I think it needs to be co-branded.
That's fine. Just send me your branding information, and I'll tell it to do it. I was like, sure, just make it look like Kandas did it, and then just put in really small print, with help from Rob.
So it'll be a co-branded piece. I really believe that co-creation and collaboration are the future of everything. And if we are not taking advantage of borrowing each other's brains and coming up with ideas together and then doing them together, we are missing out on huge opportunities. Because we are not islands unto ourselves. We are part of a community, and we should work together as a community.
I agree. I mean, I think I'm amazed. This goes back to, like I said, I've recently been reaching out to a lot of people and having a lot of conversations from a business point of view. And I'm amazed at how often I have those conversations and we have just some incredible ideas come up, because it's just, it may be that we're talking on completely different subjects as we're going through the conversation, or maybe that we're just slightly different perspectives on the exact same thing that we're seeing. But sometimes those two things just click and line up, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is a need, or this is something that, we can put this together really quick, because I have there's the gaps that I have. You can fill those in. We can work together. We can do something that's going to be, helpful to everybody else. So why not do it? Why not take advantage of it?
And it's so easy now. So easy. Oh, wait, hold on. I have a pitch. I am promotional moment. I am launching women's creator collab mixers. They're the 4th Wednesday of every month at 2 p.m. Eastern. If you are a woman podcaster, blogger, vlogger, or you want to be a guest on podcasts or Substacks or live videos, please do come and join us. The link is in the show notes, but it's CandasRodarte.com/mixer. And it is a women's creator mixer. All right. See, promo moment. Ding, 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 ding. Okay. Back to Rob.
That was an awesome segue. Way to that was about as organic as you can get. Say, oh, by the way.
Okay, let's get back to digital defense. Mm-hmm. In the age of AI, people are a little paranoid that all their personal stuff is going to get up on AI. And it's really interesting to me because some people are like, I want all of my books on AI. I want everything I do on AI because I want to be the one who gets credit for it. Somebody else is going to get credit for it if I'm not the one who does. And then there's other people like, I don't want any of my stuff on AI. I don't want AI indexing me. I don't want AI having their tentacles in me and stealing from me. So in terms of digital defense, what's the best policy there?
There's a Slack channel I'm on with a lot of very technical, very high end people that are, a lot of them are authors and stuff like that. We had literally, there was that discussion was, the suggestion was hide everything behind a paywall. Is like whatever you do, if you've got a blog, if you've got a book, if you've got an offering, is put it behind a paywall so that people have to, spend $1 or $5 to get to your content, so that the AI crawlers are not going to be able to get that. But then, the flip side of that is, then it's like, but then that means that normal people are gonna they're gonna be turned off. They're gonna say, I don't want to spend $5 to go learn about your stuff. And so you're it's sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't, kind of an approach. I think it really is. It depends on what your purpose is with the content that you're generating, with what you're doing, and then where are the limits to that? So, like, if you write a whole book, then yeah, you probably want to put it out. I guess if it's going to be out on Amazon, stuff like that, sooner or later people get a hold of it. But you have to balance that against what was your purpose in writing the book? Were you trying to reach out to people? Were you trying to connect? If you're just writing a book to give people a cool story, then I guess if it's good enough, you got to assume that it's like to me, I look at it as like it's a numbers game. So if you write a book that enough people like it that you can be J.K. Rowling or Stephen King or whoever anybody like that, then if people pirate your book or something like that, it's a small percentage. You're still going to do okay. If you're that's such a small group of people. I don't know. I know a lot of authors. I don't know any of them that are making tons and tons of money off of their books. They're making it off of all of the relationships that come off of those books. So it's, they're teaching or they're coaching or they're speaking or they've got business arrangements, stuff like that. So I think it really comes down to like, what is your purpose with the content? And then for protecting it, you do I guess you do the things that you should do, that you would normally do. Again, it's sort of common sense. So copyright where you can copyright. If it's something that is very valuable, it's like, patentable or anything like that, trademarks, all those things, and look at whatever the laws are based on where you're at, is like what makes the most sense. This is actually where AI is actually pretty fun to have a conversation with, is say, this is what I'm doing. This is what my goal is. What should I do? What are the methods? What's available to me? What are the pros and cons of them? I literally sat down with a guy, it's about a month or two ago. We sat down with AI and we had a non-compete agreement that neither of us were lawyers. We're tech guys. And we said, okay, this is what our concerns are. This is what the lawyer said. Let's try to, find something middle ground. And AI helped us craft something so that we could then send it back to the lawyers and say, does this work or not? I think it's the same thing you can do with your security, is say, this is what I've got. This is how I've got this set up. This is my goal. What can I do to ensure that I reach my goal, basically?
I can't believe we are at the end of the time that we have together today. We've covered a lot. I hope we've covered digital defense. So I was chatting with an attorney the other day, and she's a British attorney. She's not an American attorney, but she did say that your website needs to have an intellectual property statement. So our blogs, our podcasts, anything that we create is our intellectual property. It's our IP. And on your website, you need to make a statement that says, this is my intellectual property. You may not steal it. She seemed to have been versed well enough in what happens in the United States, because I know laws different in every country. But I just think that's a good idea in terms of digital defense, to prevent people from stealing your stuff and give you the ability to say, hey, that's mine. You stole it. I'm going to sue you. That statement is a layer of defense.
Mm-hmm. It is. And there's going to be some places you can't, you can't do anything about it. Like China ignores a lot of our laws in the US, things like that. So there's limits to that. But it's going to at least help you for, the greater part. So particularly if it's somebody down the street in the US, if you're a US citizen and that kind of stuff, then you go through those, you use all of those proper markings of this is my intellectual property, then it does give you a defense if they suddenly copy it all and just put their name on it, or, put their picture on it and say, hey, this is my stuff. Then it allows you do have a route to do it. And I'm not a lawyer. I don't know what the prosecution level of that is. I don't know how those work in the courts and things like that. I think that also varies a lot, but it's like you do the best you can. and then, hope that it all works out in the end.
Well, and the other thing with putting all your content and stuff behind a paywall is that every single one of the search engines is relying heavily on AI now. And so you have to have AI discoverability as well as search discoverability. And I don't know how relevant SEO is going to be in the future, or if we're just going to have AEO, AI engine optimization, and that's the only thing we're going to have to worry about. So there's so many things to think about, which means as a Gen X woman solopreneur, you need to be thinking about these things all the time and having a plan and a system in place to make sure that you stay up to date on your digital defense. Rob, I did not ask you how you weave gratitude into your business strategy. I am so curious. How do you weave gratitude into your business strategy?
It comes back to some of the content and stuff like that. It's exactly some of the things that you mentioned. Even I'm very open to. I feel very blessed for what I've been able to get to, and some of the content and some of the things I've learned, lessons I've learned, things like that. And so that's part of the gratitude that I give back. I guess I pay it forward a little bit or pay it back. I'm not sure which direction it is, but um, and it goes back to this part of why I'm not closing sales, I guess sometimes, is I'm very much am always going to make sure that I let people understand that I'm very appreciative of their time, of whatever it is that we're talking about, and if I can help them in any way, then make sure that I can show that, to just sort of show a little gratitude back to them, to say that, like, hey, I really appreciate your time, appreciate you investing in this relationship and giving that gratitude back. And it's when I've received it, I've very much been pleased by it, including yourself. I will throw out to you, as like, I do remember you were one that, like, got a nice little thank you gift after being on your show years ago, and it was like, oh, it was like one of those little, like, moments. And it's those little things is it's just like just a little bit of gratitude, especially these days. It just seems like you don't see it enough. So I think that's the first thing, is just be thankful for the moments and the time that you have, whether it's the annoying customer or not. Having those uh, conversations and those experiences are, like, more than worth it.
So you said appreciation, and the word appreciation also means growth. So when you are appreciating, you are growing.
Mm.
So, and growth and gratitude, that's appreciation. You know, that is appreciation. Do you have any final words of wisdom about digital defense for the Gen X woman solopreneur?
I think the best thing for, particularly for solopreneurs, is go do a search on security awareness. There are dozens of companies out there that run security awareness programs. They vary in price, and how they're set up. It probably wouldn't be a bad thing, depending on what your company is, to go subscribe to one and share it with your customers. Because the security awareness stuff is usually, they'll send you, like, a little email, or maybe a little video or something like that, or a little short, like once a month, something like that. And it allows you to keep aware of what are the things that are out there, that are, like, what are some of the phishing scams, or what are the common things that are out there. It's just like, it raises your level little bit more. And I think it's perfectly timed. So, like, every month, especially as a solopreneur, where it's going to be a little bit of a nudge to say, hey, have you thought about your security this month? And you're going to be like, oh yeah, I forgot, I got to change that password, or I've got to do this, do the thing. And it's just going to make you that much more secure.
So Rob has a free gift for you, audience. It is a free AI readiness assessment. If you go to the link in the show notes, which is rb-sns.com/contact, and fill out his contact form and mention Gratitude Geek and ask for your free AI readiness assessment, Rob will get back to you and help you out with that. So, Rob Broadhead, coming to us from Europe. My gosh, the whole digital nomad thing is so appealing to me. So appealing. Anyway,
I wasn't sure. It was scary, but now that we're here, very happy to do so.
And how long will you be in Europe?
Until we have grandkids, or about 3 to 5 years. It depends
Oh,
on, especially
wow.
until we get exhausted from it, or until we have grandkids. And we've got it set up so we are perpetual tourist visa essentially. So we have to bounce in and out of Europe every 90 out of 180 days. So we basically get 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, and we're not against that. So we're going to explore a lot of cool places.
Wait, hold on. If you are in the EU, you just need one visa for the whole EU? Is
Yes.
that? Oh, I think the European Union was such a good idea. Such a good idea. I mean, all those countries are so small. They're like all those countries are about the size of a regular United State, right? So
Oh, they're
it,
smaller than, like, all of them together are smaller than the United States. It's amazing how small some of these places are.
it
We're in the
was just
big cities and they've got like 40,000 people. We're like, oh my gosh, this is not the numbers we're used to. So,
thank you for being here, Rob. This is your moment of gratitude. For whom or what are you most grateful?
oh wow. I'm going to throw this one out to my kids because now being an empty nester, I think that is the thing that's like, and especially, I know a lot of, I think a lot of your audience are in that point where maybe they are getting right to like the end of it. And they're like, I cannot wait till they leave. I am sick and tired of them. Been through that. And even when they leave, I still had that for a while. But looking back, this is one of those like that. It's one of those, it was like, it was exhausting, but I would not give up a minute of that. It was really a great time. And even now, it's even, I guess, more so, more grateful, more gratitude when I do get to hang out with my adult children and hear what they're going through.
Thanks for tuning in to Gratitude Geek, the podcast for Gen X women solopreneurs weaving gratitude into your business strategy. Our theme music is by Rev Brock and Solely. I've been your host, Kandas Rodarte. Stay groovy, my friends.
Stay groovy, my friends.